Meeting to order. I think it's about 3:40. Councilor Snell, would you do our invocation?
Sure. Rise, please. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this day. Lord, be with us as we go to our committee meetings today. Bless everyone that's here. Bless all the councilmen. Bless our visitors, Lord. Lord, we pray for wisdom, understanding. Just be with us, Lord. And we ask your blessings on this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Shelley, can you do a roll call for us, please?
Jody Fishingham.
Here.
Janice Taylor.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Bowser.
Here.
Joe Bird.
Ani.
Julia Coates.
Here.
Janelle Fulbright.
Present.
John Garvin. Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Hannah Glory Jordan.
Present.
Lee Keener.
Ani.
Dick Lay.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
David Thornton. Victoria Vesquez.
Ani.
David Walkingstick.
Ani.
Eric Allen Watts.
Ani.
Yes.
You have the minutes from our February 27th meeting in your book.
I make a motion to be approved.
Second. Okay. Minutes have been approved. All in favor? Aye. Is there any opposition? Okay, the ayes have it.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add resolution authorizing the submission of support documentation for a CAS match to the U.S. Treasury Youth Development Financial Institution Program for Cherokee Nation Economic Development Trust Authority's Native American FICC grant application.
Okay, we have a motion to amend our agenda.
I will second it.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Okay, so we'll amend our agenda and add this resolution. Let's move on to our reports. First is the finance report from our treasurer, Lacey Horn.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, fellow council. So 2 points of good news. The press release went out a couple weeks back on our bond rating increase from Fitch. We were upgraded from BBB minus to BBB. So that's a big deal for us, and we're really excited about that. Our audit report will be finalized tomorrow. So this is our CAFR, our Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the year ended September 30th, 2013. And I'm happy to say that, again, it is an unmodified or a clean audit opinion. Very good news. And I wanted just to say thank you to my entire staff in the Financial Resources Department and those folks out in the programs who work with budgets and financials. It's very important that we follow policy and we go according to the rules of our funding agreements and funding requirements as far as grants are concerned. And I want to thank two people who are here in the audience today, our controller, Jamie Cole, for his outstanding leadership of the departmental directors, and Connie Chandler. She's our director of financial reporting, and she single-handedly takes care of writing and updating, changing, and making sure it's complete, the over 100-page CAFR. So I just want to say thank you to them publicly. They're very competent staff. And so that's my great news. So with that, you will have my report. If there's any questions,
Are there any questions of the treasurer? Okay. Thank you for your report. Next, we have Cherokee Nation Business, Sean Slayton.
Good afternoon, Council.
Afternoon.
I'll be talking about January. We had a good month in January, despite the fact that we started out with a snowstorm. I believe we ended up this year with the first week of 3 months in a row having a snowstorm that impacted operations and visitation. For the month, we ended up at $7 million, about $122,000 off our budget. For the quarter, or for the for a year-to-date, which is a quarter plus 1 month. We're 2.8 million ahead of budget, right at $30,447,000. So we're having a great first quarter and a good first month. February and March were a little lighter than anticipated based on losing the first weekend in each to the snowstorm. But they're still looking good, and we're still doing good at all of our properties. Working hard on the clinics. Went over the budget yesterday with our group, and things seem to be good there overall. Very pleased with what's going on with that. The hospital is in our preliminary design stage. Met the group a week or so ago, and that's going to be a very nice facility as well. We have finalized our plans with Roland, down at Roland. We'll begin work down there very soon. We hope to have that casino open by June 1st of next year, and the hotel a month or two after that. I would like to encourage everybody to, next time they're up at Hard Rock, to visit the new food venue we have. It's Route 66 Diner, and that will be opening Monday. We did a taste test after the board meeting yesterday, and it was very good food, and they did a great job. Mark and his group did a great job designing and getting that open. I believe our Cherokee employment was 73.7. Overall Native American was 81.3. Again, I'd like to emphasize that we would like your help in recruiting Cherokees. Anybody you know that needs a job, please refer them to Bob Thomas and our HR people. We continue to work with Diane. Appreciate her efforts last month with employee fair, job fair. That went really well. As we continue to open new venues across the 14 counties over the next year, we want to do everything we can to keep that Cherokee employment number up there, and appreciate all the help and support we get from council. With that, I'll take any questions.
Councilor Vasquez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sean, I just had a quick question about South Coffeyville. When is the plan to start that
Well,
casino?
we are awaiting approval, I believe, from the BIA, and we don't have a timeline on that.
Okay.
Councilor Garvin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The new diner, is that on Route 66?
Is it on Route 66? It's pretty close to it. I think you got a good arm. You can throw it and hit it.
Okay. Seriously, where is it located?
It used to be. It is where the old McGill's used to be, as you come in by the big cage and right by the buffet.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're well.
Got a big jukebox, plays 50s music. It's malts, desserts. It's fun.
Kind of a steak place or burger or?
A burger joint, rock
Thank you,
and roll
Madam Chair.
kind of deal.
Councilor Buzzard?
Just a couple of questions. Down at Roland, how many room hotel are we gonna be constructing there?
I think we have 100 planned.
And then, I just wanna put a plug in for a laundromat at J. We might ought to think about expanding that out a little more, but I know we're running 2 shifts up there, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Hopefully the plans are to bring our Roland laundry up there.
I would have to check with Mark on that, but absolutely. They've done a great job with what they've had to work with up there. I think we ended up with more poundage than what we estimated, and that's a good thing, but we'll continue to work that.
And it's just a good thing, you know, when we started the laundromat in J, I think we employed 11 people up there, and I think the last report I had, we had like 22 up there. So those people really appreciate those jobs up there, because we just didn't have any in Delaware County and J. So any job that we can get, you know, any place in Cherokee Nation appreciate it, so
Sure.
keep it in mind. Thank you.
They've done a great job.
Councilor Thornton?
Yes, talking about the laundry,
Yes, sir.
I think if we could put one in by him, it'd be great. That way we could cover Roland, we could cover Sallisaw, Fort Gibson, Pelleport, also the hospital. So, we've never had any business at all from CB. It'd be nice to bring some business into that area. So, if you'll think about that, I appreciate it.
I'll think about that. Yes, sir. got some competition there, Harlow.
Does anybody else have any other questions of Mr. Slayton? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
We would take half the laundry and cover the hospital if you do it.
No, you got enough up here.
Just had to try.
You don't want it at Hallmark, David.
Well, I was thinking a good place would be Hallmark.
Next, we have Diane Kelly, Career Services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to let y'all know that I want to echo what Sean was saying. Chuck Garrett and his staff have been very instrumental in working with us on several projects. We had a joint meeting this past week on a gas company that wanted to come down and meet with us. It was kind of backdoored through Taro, but it worked out where Chuck was able to meet with them. So we felt like that we were able to gain some ground there on some potential businesses later on down the road. That's one of the things that we're doing in meeting with them. That we're going to have some quarterly meetings, and I appreciate Sean's support as well as his staff's in bridging that gap so that we're kind of the workforce. We're out here in the trenches with the grassroots tribal people, and we can funnel those people in for those various businesses. I don't remember if John Smith, I introduced him to you. He is the new business job development coordinator. He replaced when Shane went out here to do his job as a consultant and Andy left. Well, John Smith took over that, and he and Amanda Scavone are the ones that are working with all of our OJT contracts. And we have an overwhelming number of clients that have been coming in for on-the-job training so that we can get them actually in full-time employment. So that's been very successful, and he's out and about just about 4 days a week covering the 14 counties. And hopefully we'll have somebody on board up in the Tulsa area. Chuck and them are going to give us space in that I think it's called Exchange Building or whatever building they're in over on Marshall Street. So we will have someone actually up there working on the Macy's project on a full-time basis when we start the recruitment efforts there. I think most of you got invitations that Macy's is having their groundbreaking on April the 17th. You should have received invitations for that. And we want to make sure that we're there representing Cherokee Nation. We've got job fairs scheduled on the 15th of April at Catoosa and also at West Salem Springs. And we've already got commitments from about 10 other businesses outside of the Cherokee Nation where they're going to be recruiting for jobs. So it'll give our tribal people an opportunity to not only apply for the jobs we have, but to apply for other jobs that they may be skilled and ready to go to work in. So we're hoping that that will help land some more jobs. We're working on a very comprehensive day training report. I want to commend Nason Morton over in personnel. He's been working very hard for the last several weeks with us to get our day training people, if they meet the qualifications for those jobs, in on that first round panel. So if they've been working in any of our departments and they've got the qualifications or the skills, that they could be considered for some of those first round panels. And I commend him because we tried for 3 different times over the last 3 to 4 years to get that going, and he answered our call, and we appreciate that. We have a lot of numbers to show you, and I think maybe by this time next month we'll have that report ready to show you because we're very excited about it because we know that through the day training program it's been very successful, and because of that program there's a lot of people that's got their foot in the door and they've got those jobs as a result of that, and their turnaround time has been very quickly. So with that, do y'all have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions of Ms. Kelly? Mr. Bird?
Just want to commend you for the good meeting that you had in Tulsa the other day with the Trans-Canada.
Yes.
That was very informative. That's a lot of possibilities in dealing with some of our tribal lands and the way they explain compliance on Indian lands and partnerships. That was very good. You guys did a great job with that, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you all coming for the Boys and Girls Club presentations this morning. I thought that went off real well. And I hope you ladies enjoyed your posters. I told you we had something for you. So congratulations. It's Women's History Month.
Just a minute. Counselor Cowan-Watts has
Thank
a
you.
question or comment?
I'm sorry, what was this Trans-Canada meeting in Tulsa? I don't think I got any information on it.
You wouldn't have.
Okay.
It was a meeting that TransCanada had asked us to meet with them on Taro, and some council members were up there, and some of them came to our meeting that was up there for other things. And I appreciated y'all being up there, and that you all could come in there. There was 3 Taros that were meeting, and TransCanada had asked to meet with us on what we were doing. And we asked C&B to come in because the Osage tribe was there with their pipeline. And they also brought in their people, Ida Doyle and them, to explain what they were doing. And what they're wanting to do is to get their foot in the door to work with us on any of the potential projects that we may have coming down the road. So it was an opportunity for us to talk about what we were doing in Taro and how many jobs that we were working with our businesses. So that was primarily the purpose of it. So it kind of got backdoored, so it ended up being a good meeting after all. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll hear from Anna Knight.
I hope you have a copy of my report this time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have about it.
Okay. Is there anything you want to highlight from it, or anything that's changed since you?
I have a comment. I had an opportunity to visit one of your projects that I think is under you. It's called, for those of you who might understand a little Cherokee, it's called Coffee Cafe. It's really neat, and I think that's a 3-year project, and when the grant runs out, hopefully, it's over there by Spider Gallery for those of you who've not been there. When are we gonna have a tour of that, maybe get an idea of what you're gonna do?
We're hoping to have that arranged maybe at the next, your next committee meeting date, when everyone will be here in Tahlequah. We had a taste testing with some of the community members this week, and that went really well, and we were getting feedback, and we've got a few more internal things to do inside, some paintings and such to put up, but it's a hands-on entrepreneurial experience program to train these people how to become entrepreneurs, and also to the public. It's a coffee shop, a cafe.
I think you had some day workers there.
Right, we're partnering with Diane, and they're helping us recruit these participants through the day training program, and then our grant pays them a stipend to work and learn these entrepreneurial skills.
Very good program.
Thank you.
Thank
Is
you.
anybody else? Counselor Keenan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did have to think of one question. Are you still tracking foreclosures? Is your group still doing that?
Are we still what?
Tracking foreclosures?
Tracking foreclosures, we are in the housing, in our housing committee report, we submit that.
Okay.
We are.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Counselor Buzzard?
Just a quick question, Anna. I noticed you're sending out electronic notifications to potential bidders, jobs that come up. I think in your report, you say you selectively send those down. Is it possible to send them to all the, I know we probably maybe got so many you can't do it, but because some of the old tarot certifications I used to see, I know how some people are, they don't put everything they can do on it. Like, we were doing road construction, they would just put dozer work, land clearing, stuff like that. But in reality, they could do a lot more. And I guess my question is, would it be too much to do to send it to all the tarot vendors?
Typically what we send out to the tarot vendors are outside notifications from outside the Cherokee Nation. When we get those and are aware of those, we send those out to them. Otherwise, we rely on them to go to CherokeeBids.org to look up the procurement opportunities themselves. And I think there was, I can't remember what percentage of them have emails and don't have emails, so.
I was just trying to figure out how we could get more out, because a lot of them said, well, I never, didn't see it, just didn't see it in the paper.
Right, and if they would, one of the things that we try to teach them do when we work with the tarot vendors on building their business capacity is to check that CherokeeBids.org site daily, and if they don't have access to it, they are always welcome to call our office and we'll look it up for them, any new postings for that day, so.
Thank you.
Counselor Vasquez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just was real interested in the future plans, new initiatives, and I wanted to ask you about the Court Mall Retail Incubator. and you've got 3 potential tenants. Are you able to tell us what kinds of businesses those will be, if they're?
One, excuse me, one of them that is very close to signing a lease is a bookstore. And one of a couple of gentlemen that we're talking to actually are bow makers that are thinking about doing retail. And the third one, I don't recall exactly what it is off the top of my head. We are focusing on retail businesses, and they don't necessarily have to be associated with the arts, but if they are, all the better.
I like the bookstore idea. Thank you.
Is there anything else? Thank you. Good report. Hey, do we have someone from the Historical Society here? I guess that's it. We'll move on to consent items. Mr. Obraker? Is here, okay, the list is complete. Does anybody have any questions about that, or? Let's move on. Jody? Move on to the cemetery, community assistance and law enforcement. Oh, I'm sorry. The tarot certifications.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Counselor Burden, a second by Hargis to move for the approval of the tarot certifications. Take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Okay. Now let's move on to Jody. Sorry about that.
Okay, I think you should have a new list handed out, the last one on the list. It's Tyner Cemetery number 2.
Okay, Counselor Lake?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. That's in Washington County. Thank you.
Is there any other, yes?
Was you just doing 2, or are you doing 3?
Number 2.
Number 2. I didn't know whether you wanted to go ahead and do them. Okay.
Okay, if there's no further discussion on the cemetery. Do I hear a motion to approve this list?
Motion to approve.
Second. Counselor Hargis makes the motion, and Counselor Vasquez makes the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Let's move on to community assistance.
Okay, you have a new list, and I have some pencil in for additions. We've got Peavine School, 500 for Counselor Fishing Hawk, and Stillwell School for 1,000 for Counselor Fishing Hawk, and I believe there's a couple others that the speaker's gonna add.
We had a common request from everybody, for everybody's consideration on 2 items. So, I'm assuming you looked at me to.
Yes.
Sequoia High School is requesting, money for their activity fund for the senior class trip. And I guess I'm opening it up to see who might want to do this so much per council person out of their community funds. Since the Sequoia School kind of affects all of us. Yes.
Is this a common request? Is this something you do every year?
This is actually the first year that we've had this request. We usually, the schools ask us for the after-school party money. That's what most all of the high schools ask for. So it's up to you all how this is handled.
How much are we talking about?
Well, they estimate their trip to be $4,700, but they're doing fundraisers. So I'm sure any amount that we would give them would be appreciated. He's not here.
He's not here.
Yes.
Can we vote on
I
that?
would defer to Kara.
Okay. Counselor?
Thank you. So although I have what appears to be $1,500, I think in mine, mine's already committed, for example. So I can't overcommit my money, but I would consider something as an individual person, but I would need more details. Is it something that you can forward out?
Yeah, well, they do have something else.
We don't
on
have
here.
carryover at this point, right? When will we see carryover?
Well, we will have carryover, I just don't know when it's coming in.
It's in today's budget, yeah.
So next month, I could potentially consider it, but with what I've got budgeted this month, I already know that's committed even though the paperwork's not in yet.
Their trip is at May 11th through May 15th. So we could put this on next month and get a check out to them. Do you all want to do that? Just consider this for next month and give everybody an opportunity because your carryover will have dropped in by then.
That might give us an opportunity to see how much they actually raised.
And then I will make a copy of the thing that they have, that accompanies this, okay?
Okay.
So that's how we'll handle that one.
Did you have another one?
Yes, a request from the NSU Scholarship Program, Miss NSU Scholarship Program. We have been very fortunate that a Cherokee has been selected as Miss NSU, and her name is Tasha at City, and she is now going to move to the Miss Oklahoma pageant, and they are also doing fundraisers and trying to gather up expense money to take her to the next level. And that, again, was a common request for the council to consider. And I think this has probably been the first Cherokee representative that we've had. This would not be to her individually, this would be to the scholarship program there at NSU. Huh? Any amount would be appreciated. She's also being helped by a coalition of churches that are attempting to help her too.
We also have a Cherokee who is Miss Claremore, who will be competing in Miss Oklahoma, so I don't know how if we
That
want
might
to
have
set
to
up.
be taken care of. So that might make a difference in who gives and,
You cover Miss Claremore, we'll cover Miss
yeah. What we could do is the three of us, I guess, could commit to that unless somebody else wants to assist. I do not know where she is from. I'm sure she's not from Cherokee County.
I believe she's from Tahlequah.
Oh, gosh. All right.
Okay.
Okay, you want to split 500? Okay, we'll split 500.
She was on the bike ride too.
Yes, she was. I
Really?
was going to say that she was, and you're saying she is from Tahlequah?
So,
All right, they got us. Okay, Janelle will do 100 also. So
Even
that-
if she's not from Tahlequah,
Yeah, okay.
Who would do 100?
Janelle,
Okay.
Jody, anybody else? Okay, Victoria, so now, Frankie, anybody, Curtis?
I'm overdrawn.
You overdrawn? Okay, we can't, okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then
double up
Joe
on Mark.
and David and myself.
Is there any other discussion
How
on?
much was we gonna do? 800, and then we'll do, yeah. Okay, the three of us can do 6, they'll do 100 apiece, and that'll get her. So, okay, that was the 2 common requests that I had today.
Is there any other discussion on the community assistance?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we've got a motion by Counselor Hargis. Do I hear a second? Second moved by Counselor Byrd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Okay. Move on to law enforcement.
There's been a revised list handed out. The last one on it is Inola Police Department for $1,750. So we're looking at the right list.
Anybody have any discussion about the list? Anything we need to add? If not, may I hear a motion to approve the list?
Motion to approve.
second.
Counselor Hargis and Counselor Keener, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay. And the last one is sports team funding.
Skip roads.
Oh. Is there any discussion on the roads projects?
You got any new ones, Joe?
There's no changes. There is 2 motor fuel tax projects, North Sheridan Road, Cherokee and Watts for $60,606. Clouds Creek, Curtis Snell, $52,629. On the motor vehicle tax, North Sheridan Road, Cherokee and Watts, $113,707. And on the general fund special bridge funding projects, North Sheridan Road, Cherokee and Watts for $7,500. For a total of $234,442. All of them are within the respective balances.
Does anybody have anything to add to that? Do I hear a motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay. And you have a new list of sports teams funding applications also?
Yes. The last one is Stars, $500.
Does it look good? Okay, I need a motion to approve that.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the sports team funding. All those in favor? Any opposition? Okay. Under new business. Oh. Okay, and then the livestock
I don't,
show applications?
yeah, it's the list that is in the book, Cherokee County 4-H, State of Oklahoma for $4,700.
Council Byrd has moved for approval. Do I hear a second? Counselor Snell, all those in favor? Any opposition? Okay. I don't see any old business. Let's move on to new business. First thing is, why don't you take that, Counselor Byrd?
It's a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Warehouse to donate surplus office equipment to War Pony Community Outreach in Cherokee County. Put that form of motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Move on to the second one. Counselor Fishing Hawk, would you take that, please?
This is a resolution authorizing the development and submission of a grant application to the Department of Labor for a youth build grant program, and I move for its approval.
Got a motion made and seconded. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Counselor Vasquez would like to be added as a sponsor to that. Is there any opposition? Number 3. Counselor Fishing Hawk, would you take that also, please?
Yes, this is an act amending our Legislative Act 22-13. It's authorizing the comprehensive capital budget for the fiscal year 2015. It's Mod 4, and I move for its approval.
Second.
Substitute.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that one. There's one he's handed out in front of you, and I need to move to substitute it for the one in the book.
That would be 4B.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody should have a copy of that. Okay.
It went from 4 to 4B without you guys getting to see 4A, so before I got to finish the review of A, we ended up with B, so,
Jody, can you go over it for us?
okay.
There's 3 budgets for a total increase in budget authority of $150,000. Item number 1 was added after the original mailing that was in your book. For facilities improvement, 10-10-306 general fund, budget modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $150,000 in the contract services line item for improvements. This is one of the items that was cut back quite a bit during the original budget process, so this is some of the carryover funds that we'll be discussing more fully in the operating budget. Item number 2, Veteran Center, $796,5200, capital projects modification, requesting authorization for a $400,000 transfer out to AU 1010-280 general fund operations from unspent construction funds. This is a zero change in budget authority as it reduces the building and construction line item, but by the same $400,000, just authorizing the transfer out to general fund. Item number 3 was added after the original mailing. It's on the Tribal Council House, $796,5300 capital projects. It's a budget modification requesting a change in budget authority by moving $3,450,000 from the building construction projects line item to reserve by appropriation. It's a zero change in the total budget authority. It's just a line item reallocation.
Any questions, discussion? Counselor Buster?
Just clarification on, Jody, is the first one from Carol Woodall?
Yes, it is.
I did want to discuss a little bit more, and this may not be the place for it, Madam Chair, but I have been getting some inquiries and calls about senior citizen centers. I went on the council last year, but what I understand that they, on carryover funds, we gave each center $2,000. And I don't see that on anything this year, but I'd like to go ahead and up that to $2,500 for each center this year. And I'm not sure this is the time to do this. We're gonna be talking about carryover.
Yeah,
Okay.
the main carryover
Okay,
discussion is
I'll-
gonna be in the
I'll hold that.
operating,
Okay.
but
Does anybody else have any questions, discussion? Okay. Shelley, can we do a roll call on this?
Randy Burgess. Hannah Glory Jordan.
Yes.
Lee Keener.
Yes.
Dick Wright.
Yes.
Curtis Snell.
Yes.
Janice Taylor.
Yes.
David Thornton.
Yes.
Victoria Vasquez.
Yes.
David Walkingstick. Kara Callan Watts.
Yes.
Jack Baker.
Yes.
Carly Buzzard.
Yes.
Joe Byrd.
Yes.
Julia Coates.
Yes.
Jody Fishenhawk.
Yes.
Chanel Fulbright. Yes. John Garvin.
Yes.
We have 16 yes.
Let's move on to item number 4. Counselor Fishinghawk, would you take that also?
This is an act amending Legislative Act 21-13 authorizing the comprehensive operating budget for fiscal year 2014. This will be mod 7. Yeah, mod, well, I'm going to substitute the one in front of you, mod 7A. And it'll be the one that's handed out. And I move for its approval.
Okay. That was Counselor Hargis. Seconded it. Is there any discussion on this? Counselor Buzzard?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is the one I'd like to add some dollars to our senior citizen center. What I understand, there was $2,000 donation made to those 14 centers last year. And I know some of them are just operating on a two-strike. I would like to donate again for those centers, those 14 centers, but up to $2,500 a center this year. I don't know if any other council members have had discussions or calls about our centers, but I've had a couple of centers that said they just don't have enough money to operate on. And I wanted to bring it up to see, I guess last year, and Jody may could answer this, is the $2,000 that we gave last year. Do you remember, do you
recall?
I don't recall it off the top of my head. May have been. Let me kind of address one thing here as far as carryover. We're bringing forth 800,000 in general fund, and 719,000 for motor fuels. Based on the audit numbers we're looking at right now, we're looking at $10,000 coming in, other than what we already have committed. And on top of that, we're reducing our $5 million reserve that we have right now down to almost $3 million in this process. So unless and most of that $3 million is looking to be committed in 2015 budget. So we're kind of riding on we'll have to reduce our reserve if we do any additional things right now, so.
Can you tell us how much that would be, Jody? 14 times 2,500. Have you got a calculator?
35.
Probably,
About 35.
About
okay.
35,000.
It's funded for this year, please. 2,000. So we've already taken care of.
It's in the contributions budget.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
I'm
already
sorry.
in
It's in
there.
contributions
Right.
and donations.
Okay.
Yes. So we've got you covered.
Okay, so I can live with that. We'll look at the 2,000, we'll squeeze by and we'll see how it goes from there. Okay, thank y'all.
Okay. Counselor Lay?
Thank you, ma'am. Send the council a list of those centers that we give to,
Okay, yeah, we'll make sure that,
email or whatever. Thank you.
Is there any other questions on this budget mod? Yes, Counselor Keener.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's what I was gonna ask you about, Jody, was the 3 million, slightly over 3 million.
Right.
remaining. Where does that put us on legally? Or-
well, that is in addition to our legal required reserve.
Okay.
Back from last year's carryover, we reserved $5 million for sequestration dilemmas or whatever that may come up. So this was $5 million in addition to our legal required reserve.
We're good.
So we're good legally, yes.
But it'd be better if
But-
it's more.
Right,
Because
right.
it looks
Because
like it's gonna-
we didn't have a carryover come forward from fiscal year 13 like we did from fiscal year 12, so.
Right, and next year, the
Right.
forecast is maybe more.
Right,
green?
well,
You don't know?
I mean, the treasurer can speak to this, but we're looking at probably needing this $3 million to start out the year in in fiscal year 15 to kind of keep things on a level playing field.
But if it's in the carryover, will be smaller the following year, right?
Well, we hope it.
Hope it not, we hope not.
We could potentially see a similar carryover to this year. Reasons for the smaller carryover this year are several. One, we got hit with sequestration. So a lot of programs that had gen fund budget really relied on that gen fund budget. There was a change in accounting at C&D where they started allocating for overhead a bit differently. And so that had a negative impact on our dividend just slightly. And, I think that we're getting services out to the people more than we ever have in the past. So people are actually putting these budgets to use, which is a good thing, which is what we needed to have. So, that said, it does account for a smaller carryover. Good thing, we saw this coming, that's why we front-loaded the budget at the beginning of the year. There were only a handful of programs that didn't get fully funded at the beginning of the year, and those were a couple of the programs that you see coming forward, getting carryover supplements at this time. Programs getting that, and then as far as the dip into our reserve, most of that is related to the supplement that we're having for our scholarship program. That's growing, and we're having to supplement that to the tune of $1.6 million. So that's where the bulk of that's coming from.
And then we'll see a similar scenario next year too.
We don't know that yet, Mr. Keener. I think you're buying into that a bit quickly, but.
Well, it's based on what you're telling me, that's what I was basing that on. Thank you, Madam
Because
Chair.
again, we'll front load
You're
the
right.
budget again with this 3.1 that we'll bring forward in FY '15. So,
Counselor, oh,
be fully funded.
Counselor Gloria Jordan.
I actually want to commend you. There were so many years that we weren't getting services out to the people, we were holding on to the money. And this administration and this council has taken the opposite view that let's put the money on the people and the people's needs. And I'm very proud of that. I know that it means that we have lower reserves, but the money is coming in for the use of the people, and that's what we're getting it out there for. And I appreciate that.
Counselor Fishing Hawk.
Yeah, can we start going through the month?
First item, litigation, is one of the general fund budgets, modification requesting expenditure authorization of $400,000 for litigation responsibilities. This $400,000 increase brings the total up to $713,046. But it's, at this point, it's still $400 less than the 2013 budget was. Item 2, Cherokee Immersion Program, 1010-204, General Fund. Modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $9,975. The increase is for cost of playground equipment ordered in fiscal year 2013, but was not received until December, and for adjusted space cost. Budgeted payroll expenses are also reduced to reflect current staffing. Item 3, Cherokee Charter School, 1010-211, General Fund, modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $390,025, mainly due to a notice of reduction of funds received from the Oklahoma State Department of Education for the AU 380-2400 Cherokee Charter School. Item 4 was added after the original mailing, Special Projects, Culture and History, 1010-277. General Fund, new budget requesting expenditure authorization of $49,456 to cover the expenses of a new hire regular full-time position tasked with conducting tribal historic preservation and outreach activities. And there's a pretty lengthy budget narrative attached in the budget. It goes into more details than that. Item 5 was revised after the original mailing. General Fund Operations 1010-280, General Fund. It's a modification requesting an increase in carryover appropriation prior year of $800,000. A transfer in of $400,000 from AU 796-5200 Veterans Center as discussed in the capital mod, and a reduction of reserve by appropriation of $1,949,456. These three amounts are needed to balance the budget increases for the general fund AUs in items 1 through 4 above and items 6 through 11 below, and also for the $150,000 for the facilities improvement budget in the capital mod. Item 6 was added after the original mailing. Tribal Election Fund, 1010-360, General Fund. Modification requesting an increase in the expenditure authorization of $176,967 from General Fund carryover for salary changes and additional contract services. Totals of the contracts are listed in the budget narrative. Item 7, added after the original mailing, Office of Veterans Affairs, 1010-380, General Fund. Modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $35,000 for revised staffing and related expenses to operate now that the building is going to be complete. This will bring the total budget up to $315,837. Item 8, added after the original mailing, Employee Performance Incentive, 1010-480, General Fund. Modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $3,033 to balance out the account for Employee Appreciation Day, Employee Christmas Party gift cards, and for employee performance incentives for programs that cannot fund those from their own budget. Item 9, was revised after the original mailing. Cherokee Day Training Program, 10-10-555, General Fund. Modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $650,000 from General Fund carryover for client services. This will bring the total for client services up to $1,886,000 and the total expenditures up to $2,786,000. The net expenditures budgeted is $1,761,000, and that's after the little over $1 million reimbursement agreement with C&B. Item 10, revised after the original mailing. Vocational assistance, 10-10-569, General Fund. It's a modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $150,000 for client services, bringing the total for client services up to $397,000, and total expenditures up to $500,000. Item 11, added after the original mailing. Bright Futures, 10-10-808, General Fund. It's a modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $15,000 from General Fund carryover to cover staff, merit increases, and travel costs. And this is one of those small budgets where they've been held flat, so when they have those merits and travel-related increases, we kind of have to bump it up in this way. Item 12, added after original mailing, motor fuels tax, 102-1000, General Fund motor fuel tax. Modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $719,000 for motor fuel tax carryover to be transferred out to the budgets in items 13 and 14. And that $719,000 is the anticipated carryover for motor fuel tax. Item 13, added after the original mailing, minor emergency repair, 102-3030, General Fund motor fuel tax. Modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $200,000 for a new budget total of $587,000. These tribal funds are used to provide assistance to protect, repair, and restore homes when conditions threaten the life, health, or safety of occupant, and when timely action is required that is not feasible with the HOSDA requirements. Item 14, added after the original mailing, motor fuel tax, higher education scholarships, 102-4001, General Fund motor fuel tax. It's a modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $1,639,000 to complete the fall 2014 scholarship funding. Of this amount, there's $1,120,000 funded from the General Fund carryover and $519,000 from the motor fuel tax carryover. Item 15 was added after the original mailing. Cherokee Nation Water Plan, 322-3070, Department of Interior Self-Governance. New budget requesting expenditure authorization of $310,000 to provide for water quality assessment and water infrastructure assessment, and there's a lot of details in that in the budget as well. Item 16, Environmental Health Services Administration, 333-1000, IHS Self-Government's Tribal Environmental Health. Modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $307,712 from an increase in grant funds of $260,916 and prior year carryover reconciliation $46,796. The total budget is now $2,265,000. Item 17, Environmental Health Services Projects, 333-2000, IHS Self-Governance, TEH. Modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $2,344,639 from an increase in grant funds of $127,534 and prior year carryover reconciliation of $2,217,000. The total budget is now $5,973,000. Replacement homes, 356-4021, Nahasda. modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $1,200,000 from the HOSDA program income. The total budget is now $2,567,000. Housing rehabilitation, 3564044, NAHOSDA. New budget requesting expenditure authorization of $1,650,037 from the HOSDA program income. This will provide renovation of homes that are substandard and provide accessibility ramps, structural modifications, structural assistance devices, roofing, plumbing, and electrical repairs. And you'll see in the red section down there, kind of what I had mentioned earlier about we're looking at maybe $10,000 additional in carryover, and we're reducing the $5 million down to a little over $3 million on the carryover reserve. And you'll notice I rounded a lot of those numbers, so hopefully that wasn't a big deal.
Is there any more discussion or questions on this? We have a motion and a second, so Shelley, we'll do a roll call. Vote on this.
Victoria Vasquez. David Wilkinson.
Yes.
Terry Allen Watts.
Yes.
Chuck Baker.
Yes.
Tyler Buzzard.
Yes.
Joe Byrd.
Yes.
Julia Kettle. Jody Fisher-Hawk.
Yes.
Chanel Fulbright.
Yes.
John Garvin.
Yes.
Michael Vargas.
Yes.
Anna Glory Jordan.
Yes.
Lee Keener.
Yes.
Jake Lay.
Yes.
Curtis Snell.
Yes.
Janice Taylor.
Yes.
David Thornton.
Yes.
She's looking. Julia?
Julia, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, I voted yes earlier.
Okay.
Sorry.
We have 17 yes.
Okay. Let's move on to discussion and possible action on the council house construction. Counselor Lay?
Withdraw.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that brings us to the amended agenda. Counselor Walking-Stick?
This is a resolution authorizing the submission of support documentation for a cash match to the U.S. Treasury's Community Development Financial Institution Program for the Cherokee Nation, Economic Development Trust Authority's Native American CDFI Assistance Grant application. I'd like to put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Counselor Walking-Stick, a second by Counselor Glory Jordan. Is there any discussion of this?
Chair, if we could, we need to move this to our special meeting.
Okay.
this evening.
All those in favor? Okay, so let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? The motion carries. Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to be added as a sponsor to that? And Counselor Cowan Watts, excuse me. And Mr. Garvin, Counselor Lay. Okay. And Counselor Baker had asked for a few minutes at the end of the meeting.
Yes. I just wanted to make the council aware and first remember that it was 200 years ago today, on March 27th of 1814, that over 500 of our Cherokee warriors fought at the Battle of Horseshoe Bend with Andrew Jackson. They were fighting against the Upper Creeks and the Red Sticks, who had they were on a horseshoe bend of the Tallapoosa River, and the Red Sticks had built a barricade across the neck of it, and Andrew Jackson's troops were attacking the barricade, were not able to get across, and several military regiments, including the Cherokees, were around on the opposite side of the river, and 3 of our Cherokee warriors saw the creek, dug out canoes on the other side. So it was Tuckwa, or the Whale, Baldridge, and Charles Reese swam the river and got canoes and brought back for other Cherokees to go across. So all the Cherokees were able to cross and attack the Creeks from the rear and enable Jackson then to cross the barricades and win the battle. But most of our Cherokee leaders of the day, and most of them also signed the 1827 Cherokee Constitution. Sequoyah was there, John Ross was there, Major Ridge, Wing Snake, Charles Hicks, George Fields, Shoe Boots, all the leaders of the time. And there were 15 of our Cherokees died on the battlefield, and 36 were wounded, and 3 of those wounded died shortly thereafter. But that day, they killed 800 of the Red Stick warriors, and took 500, and the river was actually running red from the blood. And they took 500 women and children prisoners, and several of those Creek prisoners, the Cherokees brought back into the Creek Nation, into the Cherokee Nation. So that was exactly 200 years ago today, and I thought we should at least remember that and acknowledge it. Thank you.
The only bad part about that is we saved Andrew Jackson.
Right. And I'm not sure we should have been fighting against the Upper Creeks anyway.
I agree.
Are there any other announcements? Yes, Counselor.
I kind of informally talked to different portions of the council. We've got a little request that in June, we move rules and E and F from what would be June 26th to June 17th. And I believe everyone is in concurrence to do that, so that would place your meetings at June 16th would be your regular meetings, and June 17th would now be rules E and F. And Kara, I believe you were wanting that in one.
Well, I mean, I assume that's what I'd asked if it was, and then,
What time would be good, say 10 o'clock to start?
What date is that, Speaker?
16th and 17th.
Just do it 16, 17?
Yes. But I was trying to make sure that the time would be okay with everyone at 10 o'clock to start your rules, and then we could start E and F thereafter.
Does that interfere with NCAI and the last?
No, actually, that's the week before, and you'll be back on the 13th. Is that good with everybody?
2 days?
Sure, we'll all get that.
Okay.
All right, Shelley.
Okay. Is there any other announcements? Do I hear a motion we adjourn?
Make the motion we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.